Nick opened it and scanned the first page. What is this? It's the agreement between Aurea and me, Mrs. Fusco said softly. After Gianna passed away, I was desperate to find someone I could trust to raise Jaden. The only person I could think of was Aurea. I had sponsored her through school for 5 years and she was about to leave the country for graduate studies. But out of selfishness, I asked her to stay. Nick stared at her, stunned. So, you convinced her to marry me? I made her a deal, Mrs. Fusco said softly. If she agreed to stay and marry you, to help raise Jaden for 5 years, then after that, her debt to me would be considered paid in full. She'd owe the Fusco family nothing. She could walk away as a free woman. Nick stared at the pages, unable to speak. I always thought that maybe, over time, things would change. Mrs. Fusco went on. That maybe you two would fall in love, that maybe she'd want to stay. But the moment those 5 years ended, she came to me and said she was done. She didn't even hesitate. Her voice cracked slightly. Whatever kindness she showed you and Jaden, trust me, I saw it all. She may have just been fulfilling a contract, but she played the part of a devoted wife and mother better than anyone else ever could. Nick stood there, completely still, like the ground had disappeared from beneath his feet. He'd never seen this coming. Aurea, gentle, quiet, always putting them first, had been playing a role the entire time. All that affection, all those moments, were they all just part of the deal? He felt like the air had been knocked out of his lungs. Then, without warning, he dropped to his knees in front of his mother. His voice was hoarse. This is my fault. I've had 5 years and I still couldn't make Aurea fall in love with me. But Jaden's in a coma now. The doctors say the only chance he has to wake up is if Aurea comes back. He swallowed hard, eyes red. I already called her. She won't come. But maybe she'll listen to you. Please, can you try? Mrs. Fusco's face softened, but her eyes still held a quiet, sorrowful resolve. Aurea doesn't owe us anything anymore, Nick, she said, her voice low. And the look on her face that day, it was unshakable. She was done. I'm not sure she'll ever come back. She paused, her gaze drifting toward the window as memories flickered behind her eyes. Then she continued, quieter now, as though speaking more to herself than to him. But since Jaden is my grandson and since he's all I have left of my daughter, so yes, I'll try. She pulled out her phone with steady fingers and dialed Aria's number. Aria's POV. I had just arrived at my destination when my phone rang. The moment the bus stopped, I grabbed my suitcase and got off. Just as my feet hit the ground, my phone buzzed in my pocket. When I saw the caller ID, I already had a feeling what it was about. Nick must have failed to convince me and gone running to Mrs. Fusco. Even now, no matter how far I tried to distance myself, I could never really cut ties with the woman who once helped me survive the darkest moments of my life. That debt was impossible to fully repay, no matter what our agreement said. So when her name popped up on my screen, I couldn't bring myself to ignore it. I picked up. Is everything alright, Mrs. Fusco? Aurea, she said gently. Nick told me everything about what happened. I want to apologize on their behalf. I know we agreed that after the 5 years, your debt to us would be cleared, and it is. But Jaden, he's in bad shape. He needs you. The doctors say only you might be able to help. She paused, her voice tight with guilt. I know it's not fair to ask, and I hate going back on my word. But, for the sake of the boy I raised after Gianna died, for my daughter's child, I'm asking, just one last time. Could you see him? I could hear the strain in her voice. This wasn't a woman trying to manipulate me. This was a mother on the verge of desperation, torn between pride and love. And despite everything, I couldn't bring myself to turn her down. I nodded, though she couldn't see me. Alright, I'll come see him after the tour ends. This trip was just a one-day sightseeing tour to a nearby city. I returned that night and the very next morning, I boarded a flight back to Briswell. When I arrived at the Fusco residence, it was exactly as I imagined. Aside from Mrs. Fusco, Nick was also there. It had only been a little over 2 weeks, but he looked like a different man, worn down, pale and haggard. He was nothing like the confident, proud man I'd left behind. The moment I walked through the door, Nick's bloodshot eyes lit up like a man who hadn't seen daylight in weeks. He stood up, clearly wanting to come to me, but hesitated halfway through the motion. His foot paused midair before he awkwardly pulled it back, like pride had yanked a leash around his ankle. He was waiting for me to come to him. Classic Nick. He didn't want to look desperate, didn't want to appear like the one chasing. But I hadn't come back to sit down for drinks with him, or to fall back into old habits. Without a word, I walked past him and headed straight for Mrs. Fusco. When are we going to see Jaden? I asked. She didn't miss a beat. Now, she said, then led both of us to the hospital. The sterile white walls of the hospital hadn't changed, but Jaden had. As we pushed open the door to his room, I froze for a second. He looked like a shadow of the boy I once raised, pale, thinner than I remembered, so fragile it seemed like even the sheets could bruise him. My heart tightened in my chest. It surprised me. I thought I was past this, past caring, but looking at him now, so broken, so vulnerable, the years I spent raising him surged back, uninvited. I walked to his bedside, gently brushing his damp hair from his forehead. My voice softened, barely above a whisper. Jaden, Jaden. He didn't move. I called his name again, and again. By the 5th time, something shifted. His fingers twitched, then suddenly, his hand shot up and gripped my wrist tightly. Mom. His voice was raw, hoarse, like it hadn't been used in days. You're back? right? Mom. I held his hand, trying to calm his panic. Yes, I'm here. I'm right here, sweetheart. Just open your eyes. He stirred, then slowly, his lids lifted. When his eyes finally focused on me, he gasped, then sat up abruptly and launched himself into my arms. Mom, it's really you. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean all those awful things I said. I shouldn't have called you a murderer or a whore. I was wrong. I didn't know better. I was stupid. His sobs wrecked him as he clung to me, soaking the collar of my shirt with tears. I don't want Valentina. I don't want anyone else. I just want you to be my mom. Please come back to me and Dad. We need you. I held him long enough to calm him down, my hand gently patting his back. Then I looked up and found Nick staring at me, his expression unreadable. The moment our eyes met, he flinched and turned away like a teenager caught staring too long. I felt nothing. Once Jaden had stopped shaking, I turned to Mrs. Fusco. I've done what you asked. I woke him up. That's all I came to do. Please take care of yourself. I stood and Jaden instantly panicked. His fingers clutched at mine like a lifeline. Mom, where are you going? Didn't you say you'd come back? I pulled my hand free and said calmly, I'm not your mother, remember? Gianna is. Now that I divorced your father, I have no obligation to stay. Take care of yourself. I turned and walked out without looking back. I heard Mrs. Fusco inhale like she was about to call out to me, but she didn't. I could hear Jaden behind me, crying like the world was ending, his voice sharp and frantic. I didn't stop. Outside, sunlight hit my face as I mentally mapped out the next leg of our journey. Mom had always wanted to see the country. I'd only taken her to the neighboring city so far. It was time to move on. Another city, another memory to create. But just as I reached the hospital entrance, someone grabbed my wrist. I turned, and there he was. Nick had run after me. He was out of breath, but his eyes were serious, desperate even. Aurea, he panted, I need to talk to you. I didn't say a word, just pulled my hand away and waited. I've made a lot of mistakes, he said, voice low, sincere, or at least, practiced well enough to sound like it. These past weeks without you, I realized how wrong I've been. For 5 years, I've taken you for granted. I treated you like someone I could always count on, but never appreciated. His eyes pleaded with mine. Jaden still needs you. I still need you. Can we try again? I swear, I'll make it right. I shook my head slowly. We are divorced, Nick. It's over. Maybe it's time you started looking elsewhere. Try Valentina. She seems like your type.